So before we start, I want us to extend profound gratitude to Nicole and Mary Grace, who look like they've been through the hell realms, negotiating our kitchen, not knowing the special intricacies that are required for getting the wok to work, for example, or the convection oven, which I guess never came on. They never figured that part out. But and so, with great gratitude for all that you have endured, make that some purification too, and we'll be really happy with lunch. It'll be fine. When I first did Vajrasattva retreat, kind of a long time ago now, there was a story circulating in our group that I found highly motivating. I actually found it kind of terrifying, but if I worked with it, I could make it motivating. It was a story that came to us from a meditator who had been with Genlam Rinpa at the one-year concentration retreat at Cloud Mountain in the 80s, and she was a long-time meditator. She told the story that she had been with her Lama, having tea, I guess. She was just there. And on this occasion that she was with him, a meditator came in to report what had happened on his 3-year retreat. He had just finished the retreat. He came in to talk to the Lama. He talked and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. And he left the interview with the Lama, and the Lama burst into laughing. He laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. And our friend looked at him quizzically, and finally he said, 3 years, same mind. Whew. That can be terrifying. Also highly, highly motivating. 3 years, same mind. Oh my. 3 months, same mind. 1 month, same mind. So how do we circumvent that possibility in our own experience? So Venerable Children set us off, I think, quite well over the weekend. That was so great that we got all those teachings before we started. But in another retreat motivation, she said, we start off first with our motivation. She emphasized that over the last 3 days. First, our motivation. This is really the principal thing in retreat. Motivation is why we are doing this. And she said it's a good thing that we get clear about this, because I'm sure during the course of our retreat, we will sit there and ask ourselves, what am I doing here? What am I doing here as in, why am I here? What am I doing here as in, I think I just forgot everything I ever learned about the Dharma. It's not making any sense to me now. I mean, there's lots of ways that what am I doing here question comes up when we're in retreat. And her advice is that we begin with our motivation. We get clear about our motivation. We may spend the whole first week, month, year on our motivation. And when we're clear about that, then we come back to that as our foundation. This is where we are. This is what we're doing here. Your mind may be insane. The kitchen may completely explode. What are we doing here? We need to know that, and know that deeply in our hearts. So we spend a lot of time on that. And then Lama Zopa Rinpoche also gives extraordinary retreat advice, you all know. In this one, he was talking about Venerable said, whatever our motivation is, we have to expand it and enlarge it as well, so that we make it as big as we can. We make it as large as we can based on our sense of renunciation, and as large as we can based on our sense of bodhicitta. Then Zopa Rinpoche was quoting Lama Tsongkhapa in the Lines of Experience when he says, Lama Tsongkhapa says this, and that's paraphrased, I think. Even if we don't know so much about the meditation of the deity we are doing, even if we're just doing very rough visualizations and have a very rough understanding as we go over the sadhana, even if the visualizations are not clear, even if the concentration doesn't last, in each actual session, the most important thing, in order not to waste time, is to try, by the pure attitude, to at least make that action become Dharma. Right? He says, I think the most important thing when you do Tantra is not to miss the 3 principles of the path. The Lamrim. So what are they? Renunciation, bodhicitta, correct view, the wisdom realizing the ultimate. So again, like that's the whole point. He says it doesn't matter if the visualization is not clear. That is not the point. There's more danger if you are not careful about the 3 principles of the path. There's not much danger in not having clear visualization of a deity. So we have to think about this. That's the difference between 3 years, same mind, and actually cultivating a deeper understanding of the Dharma in the course of our retreat. Really, is digging into the 3 principal aspects of the path. So we have to think about relying on the Buddha. We have to think about relying on our teachers. We have to think about our precious opportunity right now and how whatever we have will not last at all. We don't know how long. And we have to think about karma. We have to think about the difficulties of cyclic existence. We have to think about where we go for refuge in the face of these difficulties. So, in the Blue Book, page 31, Lama Tsongkhapa's short text, 3 principal aspects of the path. His Holiness gave a beautiful teaching on this not so long ago, where he talks about this paragraph. Swept by the current of the 4 powerful rivers, the river of sensual desire, the river of craving for rebirth, the river of craving for self, the river of wrong views. Okay, swept by the current of the 4 powerful rivers, tied by the strong bonds of karma so hard to undo, caught in the iron net of self-grasping egoism, completely enveloped by the darkness of ignorance, born and reborn in boundless cyclic existence, unceasingly tormented by the 3 sufferings. That's a summation of our situation in cyclic existence right there. His Holiness says, put yourself there first. First think about this as our experience. That cultivates our determination to be free. And then we go on by thinking of all mother sentient beings in the same condition. Generate the supreme altruistic intention. So even if you have this open and read it every session, use it as your foundation, it's a good way to train our mind into what are these aspects. And then, of course, cultivating the ultimate nature, even if we spend the time, Venerable Children gave us a couple of meditations on this, actually, if you check your notes. How to let go of our identities in the superficial level, how to let go of that deeper grasping at some sense of who we are. And we can also use our study time to begin to understand this in a more technical way. So there's so much we can do with this time. And to get caught up in the details of, did I get the visualization right? Did my mala break? I don't know, all the things that we can get frustrated about in the session, outside of the session. All of those. And all of the kind of getting caught up in the trying to make things perfect part can really take us down a path where, as Rinpoche, or maybe Jason Kappa said, in order to not waste time, cultivate these 3 principal aspects of the path as we do our retreat. Venerable Children says, what Dharma is really about. It's not about visualizing ourselves as this and that and having a good time. It's not about thinking of all the wonderful ways we plan to help sentient beings. And incidentally, it's not having a good reputation and holding on to our power sources. It involves really looking at what's going on inside and facing that. When we do it, then we're really practicing the Dharma, and we will change. And when we do that, that's how we will come out of this retreat with a changed mind, to some extent. to whatever we can, knowing that we've purified. So may our practice of Vajrasattva illuminate our minds, expand our hearts, and bring the wisdom that leads to full awakening. By becoming Vajrasattva ourselves, may we lead all sentient beings to that supreme state. Yeah, thank you.